did a piece on this months ago when this fight got signed, right when this fight got announced that these two are going to fight. I was like, listen, young fighters, whatever you do not copy Stipe's blueprint here. Do not do it. This has never worked out for anybody. Refusing to fight, sitting, waiting, being defiant. I had the record as heavyweight champion, and therefore I have the right to a rematch, all of which factually was correct. He gave DC an opportunity. Hey, you got to give me an opportunity. All of which is correct and above board in sportsmanship. All of it. But if you go back and you study history, that has never worked out for anybody. It worked out for Stipe. But it didn't work out for Stipe because it was some great master plan. It's just what he did, and it just happened to work out. In the meanwhile, Daniel Cormier eliminated, Derek Lewis from the division. I'm trying to think if there was somebody else, but Derek Lewis had eliminated, at least at that time, Francis Ngannou from the division. Curtis Blades wasn't quite there. Overeem, they were never really looking to do that match. JDS was out. Kane was his teammate. I mean, the division was a little bit weird. Verdum, who's always a good choice to fight DC. I mean, that would be a very compelling match. If Verdum ends up in his red tape, he's out. That's really largely why DC gets back inserted, right? Don't forget, Brock Lesnar was a player at one point. Vince McMahon, Dana, that's out. It was one of these things where it just happened to work out for Stipe. But the message in this still needs to be to everybody else: do not copy that blueprint. It never works, even though it worked this time. And don't forget, how long did he wait? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. If you're going to wait long enough, and he waited well over a year with no paycheck, no sponsors, no official training camp. I trust that he has been training. He looks very good, but there is something different about going out and competing. Here's one thing that happened, and I'm not speaking out of school here. It's just something that I wasn't going to bring up because I feel like it's a demotion as opposed to a promotion. And that was Stipe had gone and done a grappling match. And this was just recently. This is only about 2.5 months ago. He went to Fight to Win. I want to say they were even in Cleveland. There was some reason they got Stipe, and it wasn't a paycheck. It took on a purple belt. I could not give you the gentleman's name. I could not give you the gentleman's name in a multiple choice. Only point being, this wasn't some big, super hard, at least on paper, match that he was walking into. He was supposed to be able to come out, be Stipe, wave to the crowd, get a quick win, go home. Not only did that not happen, he lost the match. And afterwards was far more compelling. Now, that's not what Stipe... I understand that. He walked into a different sport. He's got the right to win, lose, or draw and have no dirt on his face. I get the whole thing. But afterwards, he did an interview. They said, what the heck happened out there? That wasn't supposed to happen. Stipe said, I was exhausted. I got completely exhausted. I forgot how tiring it is to just purely grapple. It was the right answer. It was a true and matter-of-fact and candid answer. But I do think that it's relevant when a guy is sitting out for as long as Stipe sat out. One of the biggest things that called into question is his level of fitness. Where is his conditioning at? If you were to look at that match, that wasn't great. I do think that if you were to look at that match as I am suggesting and take that and then try to hedge a bet that he's going to show up against DC out of shape, I think you would be missing a competitor's mindset. As bad as things may have been in that 8 minutes of that grappling match with that purple belt in Cleveland 10 weeks ago, that was also the eye-opening that Stipe needed. That was the reminder and the message that he needed. Every now and then in defeat, a guy will lose all the time and go, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. That guy's a prick. I hate when an athlete says, it's never the greatest thing that ever happened to you, okay? It's simply not. Oh, by the way, remind me to tell you a story about Simone Biles. You have to remember this, Ryan, or I'm going to forget. It's never the greatest thing that happened to you. It's just what some guy says so he can sleep at night. Every now and then, it can be really good to get one of those reminders in kind of a closed door setting. I'm suspecting more people are going to hear me telling you that Stipe had this grappling match in tenfold than the people that actually watched and knew he had the grappling match. Point being, if you can get one of those quietly, if you could get one of those over on the side, one of those that essentially don't count because it was an exhibition, it was for fun, if you will, that really can be very helpful, particularly if it's 10 weeks before a contest that you really want to win. That's when you realize, man, there's a difference in practice and there's a difference in competition. I think he got that reminder at the right time. I'm just telling the story, you decide. But there's so many moving parts as we go into this fight, and we almost have to search for some of the storylines, because don't forget, these guys already fought. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. These guys are going to do the same thing in the same cage, under the same time limit, under the same rules for the same championship. at the same weight class. But Stipe has the right to expect a different result because he did have good moments in that 2 minutes and 41 seconds. In fact, he had about 2 minutes and 35 good seconds versus 6 good seconds for Daniel. He has a reason to believe that he could get a different outcome.